This one in the coverage is the only one that's going to come with a preamble, because I'm not going to sugarcoat.
Hear me out, hear me out, hear me out. Embark patched that you cannot get into loot rooms for free anymore. So y'all nerf security breaches, and now I actually have to spend a key to get loot. And mind you, I already have to fight people when I want to be peaceful.
Even in the context of being able to set up situations and where a person is able to tell the difference between what is the consideration of actual conversation points and people actively kvetching for popularity and views, I think this is the first time on the coverage, even for people who will jump into the comment section with serious or unserious takes with the interest of trying to bellyache or trying to troll. I think this is the one where you have to start off with, what do you mean you're complaining about the loot change? You people have been cheating and exploiting. You've been cheating into a room that you were meant to spend a key on. And you're mad that you had to do that? Interesting. Go on.
Literally had to learn PvP to protect myself.
10 points in the category of past Carl, who said that on the last several fucking videos with people actively pretending that they didn't understand what I said. And you're supposed to. You're supposed to learn how to PvP. That's how you go from being a fucking gimme to being able to be a rational, capable player that can then function. Especially if you could function in duos and trios. Or any other kind of gameplay loop that would need you to go from a weak person who just tries to scavenge and stay alive to being able to aggressively push situations. Because when you get to the point where you're now taking part in massive world events, it helps you. You know why? Because then you don't end up like this guy in this clip.
I'm starting to wish that events like the Matriarch and maybe even the Harvester were PvE only, because this was just absolutely so demoralizing. It makes me not want to play the game anymore. I mean, I was in this little area hiding away from the Matriarch for a while, chipping away at it. This guy hopped in out of nowhere, and then boom, literally out of nowhere. I don't know how I'm supposed to react to this. I don't think.
Because the knee-jerk reaction that a person should have from what they just witnessed in that clip should be the same thing that's going through my head. Skill issue. You haven't learned yet. You need to stop trusting people implicitly. You need to start learning to recognize the things that are happening around you. And you need to discern better the intentions of people that are with you, especially if they clearly have no ability to help you with what you're doing. Does he look like he's loaded to fight a matriarch, or does he look like he's loaded to attack an arc? Or does he look like he's loaded to attack you? How much time did you spend behind you? And you didn't heal? And you just thought shit was sweet? Because he didn't start popping off on you? And then when he did, you were not ready to put him down? No traps? No protections? Unironically maidenless.
I had to learn movement, slide, dodge rolling to protect myself. So Embark, why is it that when I spend a key to get into a room, you give me a half-broken Berletta too? Nobody can exploit into the rooms anymore. Increase the drop rates for actual good weapons. I should be getting Tempests, Bobcats, Volcanoes, 100% drops out of loot rooms. Cause it makes no sense. The danger and the reward is there. Put it there.
So let's get this straight, PvE players. Look me in my eyes when you do it. You expect me to believe that you want a loot buff for rooms that you have been cheating and glitching into, which is an exploit, which in any other game with a competitive environment would result in the banning of your account, if not the wiping of your content, and putting you to zero and forcing you to start over again. You want a loot buff for rooms that you're complaining that you're looting, while literally saying in big bold letters, that you think, if not just like this young man, is saying, I deserve to have loot buffs. I would get more loot by PvPing, why don't you? And you're complaining about having to learn the skills to survive so that you can become capable of anti-player killing, so that you can turn environments and situations and get their loot. Because since loot's so bad that you could get more by PvPing, and then on the other side of the issue, on the PvE content, or technically the group content, because it's not truly PvE content, on the group content of fighting and looting and hunting world events and world bosses, such as the Matriarch, to then get to those higher levels of blueprints that you could then get better weapons from. You're telling me that you're going to lack such levels of survivability that you let yourself get taken out by a shiesty who didn't even open up by blasting you first, that you had first opportunity and initiative to deal with, and you allowed yourself to become a victim. And then instead of looking at your actions and looking at your after action report and looking at that A2E, or technically A2R, but looking at your A2R and looking at your view, looking at your VOD, looking at your content, looking at your video recording, and saying, why? Why did I not shoot that guy? Why did I let myself get killed by him? And instead of doing that, you come here and say, man, I don't know what to do. I think they need to make world events PvE only, because why am I getting victim? Satire, loca. No, you don't need loot buffs. What you need to do is you need to learn how to play the game. Play the game and interact with its mechanics, because you're not. Why are you getting victimized? You're getting victimized because you are letting yourself get murdered, because you lack skills. Why do you lack skills? Because you're not getting challenged. How do you get yourself those skills? Get challenged. How do you challenge yourself? Survive. Get attacked. Get shot. Survive that situation. Learn to play defensively. Learn to play a loadout that gives yourself the ability to counteract the popular meta that these players are playing with. Because the most effective tactic available for them always has counterplay. Do you know why? Because the unknown tactic that is successful, that you don't gossip about and pass around, becomes a tactic that is now capable of keeping you alive so that you don't die. Well, I don't want to do that. Okay, keep getting shot. What's easier? Learning how to play the game and actually playing the game and having fun doing it, so you can now go from being just a normal looter to becoming an anti-PKer, to possibly becoming the big bully on the market that doesn't need to join a Bungalator squad or a Hutchinson squad or whomever's clanner event comes up again, if it ever happens in the future. You are dead ass telling me that it is easier for some of you to come onto this application or any other application where I can find your clips. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, X. You're telling me that it's easier and better and more fun to complain rather than figure out what to do next. If that's the case, you're helpless. And you have to go find a different game. I know what to tell you, bro. That's the state of a patch. Adapt. Adapt. If you can learn to adapt, perhaps they'll look at that data and then they'll say, hey, then we can actually do a loot buff. Because you're telling me that you all are crying that they took away from you something that you've been exploiting this entire time, and you would rather complain than learn to get the skills to have handles?